Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another Sporting160EN podcast. This is podcast number 29. We're getting close to 50, boys. Anyways, let me go to the panel first. I'll introduce you guys to Steph. Steph, how you doing, man?
I'm not doing good at all after yesterday's game. It was a complete disaster, and and then we'll talk about it. But I'm not doing
Yeah, for sure.
great at all.
And we're also joined by Patrick. Patrick, how you doing, bro?
Yeah, I'm all right. Obviously, it would have been nice to have gotten a positive result yesterday. It didn't go our way this time. But yeah, generally I'm all right. But we'll get into the action, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. And before we get into yesterday's loss, which is on everybody's lips right now, we'll talk about something a bit more positive, which was a 2-1 win against Bilin Sad. But before I get into that, real quick, let me just give a special shout out to everybody that went to, I think it was 7,000 people that went to Uj Bilinis against Club de Estrela. Football and supporting two historic teams in Portugal. So shout out to you guys. I know we have a few of our listeners, or a few of our Twitter followers at least, went to that game over the weekend. So yeah, give you guys a pat on the back all the way from Canada, because I appreciate that support. Anyways, we'll get into Belenenses Sad now. So Sporting's lineup was the following. It was Renan Ribeiro in net. We had Marcos Acunha, Jeremy Mathieu, Coates, and Bruno Gaspar. Then we had Miguel Luis, Goudelli, and Wendell in the midfield. Just to recall, Bruno Fernandes was out of this game due to suspension. And then our front three was Nani, Bas Dost, and Diaby. Steph, I'll start with you, man. What did you think of this game?
It was a hard-fought game, like expected. Belenenses, they always play well against us. It's a derby. So it's always complicated, and Silas knows he played at Sporting, and he knows Sporting quite well. He mounted a good strategy against us. He populated the midfield, and he was playing in the counter attack. And Belenenses, at the beginning, they could have scored some goals. To tell you the truth. We got lucky.
Yep.
And Renan, he pulled a few good saves. He's proving that he's actually a pretty good goalie. But we survived, and then we scored two goals, and then towards the end they scored the 2-1, and then we got the victory. We deserved it anyway. We played good enough to win the game. It could have been a 4-2 game or a 3-2 game. Because Belenenses with Freddy, that guy is pretty good. I don't even know how he never made it to a top team. I'm not saying Belenenses is not a top.
Sorry, there's rumors that he might be going to Braga.
So. Oh, but still, that's not a top team.
Good point.
Yeah, I mean, if if you're a top team, you don't give up 6 points every year to
Right,
so
right.
We know that Braga starts with the championship in Portugal with -6. So,
anyway, sorry to get you sidetracked there.
Big time, because Braga, for me, it's not Braga, it's Benfica B. They should play in the second division in Portugal. Anyway, yeah, it was a good game, and we deserved the win. Nevertheless, we played good enough to get the 3 points, but Belenenses did create some chances of goal, and at the end, the victory, yes, and that's it, and that's all I got to say.
Yeah, and Patrick, how about you, man?
Yeah, it was a difficult game. We knew we would be in for a tough one against a team like Belenenses, and especially managed by Silas, who's done a decent job since coming in last season, and that's what we got. I think we felt the absence of Bruno Fernandes a bit in the middle, and as Steph pointed out quite correctly, Belenenses capitalised that a bit by congesting the midfield, and it was a lot more difficult for Sporting to influence things through the middle like they would like to, and to start pulling the strings essentially, and because of that, I'd agree with Steph. We were quite fortunate at times not to have gone a goal down first. I think we all remember the chance that Freddie picked up in the way they were so compact in the middle. It complicated our circulation, and we gave the ball away. Freddie raced off and hit the post. So, if that goes in, the game could have looked very different, and perhaps could have looked a lot like what we had last night. But one thing that we did manage to keep was our composure, and there were a few moments where we did knock the ball about, and we waited for the openings. We finally got it towards the end of the first half with Nani, who was unlucky to hit the post. Obviously, he caught a deflection. And then coming into the first half, we got that goal through Bruno Gaspar, with Diaby being nice and calm, waiting for the run. And Bruno Gaspar, obviously, again, with a deflection, finds the back of the net. And we had little moments like that where things were going to plan. Essentially, we were knocking the ball about. We were keeping things rational. And then the second goal came at a very important time because, as we know, we haven't got a clean sheet as of yet under Kaiser. And to defend a 1-0 lead towards the end would have been very nervy. But Miguel Luis turned out to produce the goods with a very good goal from range. And then, obviously, towards the end, we conceded, and things could have been a little bit more ropey for us. But we held on quite well and got an important result. I think all in all, we probably edged. We did edge the performance, and we deserved the win, which was pleasing to see.
Yeah, for sure. And had to give my 2 cents too. Yeah, I agree with both of you. I'll repeat what both of you said. Steelers is a great tactician, a great manager. Before Kaiser, I was saying I wanted Steelers in. Very fluid in however he lines up, whether that's 3 in the back, sometimes 4 at the back. I was kind of unsure how we were playing against them last week. So, credit to Belenenses for really bringing the fight to us and still playing eye to eye with us. And I think we were a bit more fortunate this game. I agree with you, Patrick. It could have been like last night's result. I think though the victory was just, I think, there's a shout that at least Belenenses could have at least walked away with a draw. Like you mentioned, that Freddie chance that hit the post. There was about 3 chances in the opening 10 minutes that just went wide. I think maybe if that had gone on target, we'd be talking about a different game. I'll ask both of you this because it seems to be happening. It happened against Belenenses. It happened yesterday. It happened against Guimarães as well. What's up with these slow starts from Sporting? Steph, I'll start with you. Why is it that we seem to be starting off slow, in your opinion?
Well, that's the $1 million question. I really have no clue because the Portuguese league, we're very similar to Italian league. It's a tough league. People tend to think that Portuguese league não presta para nada. No. You have to have a thick skin to play in the Portuguese league. We commit a lot of fouls. We play rough. We watch a lot of our games because it's our league. It's our Portuguese from or our parents, and then we tend to watch more of those games. But they're very physical. So if you want to be a champion in Portugal, you have to step up your game from the get-go, from 1 to minute 90. You being in second place and playing against the 7th or the 8th or the 9th or the 10th team, it doesn't make any difference. You still have to give it all from the get-go. It's a good question, Danny, because our coach Kaiser, which I'm not going to criticize him, he's been saying that we start slow. We didn't start well Okay, you've been saying that for the last 4 games, so do something about it. You know. So I don't know if it's the players trying to warm up, but that's why they have a warm up session before the game. So that's when they're supposed to warm up. But I agree with you. And do we always give our opponent 15 minutes in advance? Our opponents, they always willing to beat us. It's like the Second World War. Bang! They're ready to beat us. We always start very slow, warming up, changing the ball, passing the ball around. I don't know why. I have no clue. You gotta play with high intensity, or else like we lost against Tondela yesterday and Portimonense and what's the other Coloso? Perdemos contra o Coloso. We lost against a top team. Which
Guimarães, Portimonense.
Coloso, outro Coloso.
And there was one more. I think we've lost 4.
Tondela, no, that was Estoril, mas isso foi para a Taça da Liga.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
We've lost. Yeah, we've lost to Braga
for the
well,
championship.
Oh yeah, and Braga as well. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Braga, exactly. Braga,
the 4th.
Yeah. So you can expect to be champion of Portugal if you lose against Guimarães, Tondela, Portimonense. Braga away, okay, I'll take it. Porto, Benfica, you became champion of Portugal beating the other teams. And we haven't done that. We already lost 4 games. Skest.
Yeah, and just to sort of piggyback off that, if you look at Porto right now, who have they lost to? Okay, Guimarães, which was like a one-off, and they lost to...
And Benfica.
They're not dropping points to Portimonense. They're not dropping points to Tondela. They're not dropping these small points. And we're struggling, and Benfica struggled as well, though now it's looking like they're picking up steam, but it's because they're winning these small games. And we know by now how many years has to pass by for us to know that we have to beat all the little teams, and when it comes to our direct rivals, we don't necessarily have to win, but if we can get a draw, if we lose one but win another one, we're within a shout. And now 4 losses, 3 of them coming to teams that we should be beating. I say all 4 should be coming again, but we had Peseiro, so I can't blame us for losing against Braga. It's such a bitter pill to swallow, and the mentality that these players come in with, at least in my opinion, and what it seems like in your opinion too, Steph, it's unacceptable. Patrick, given your 2 cents too, do you think it's a mentality thing, a tactic thing? Do you think teams are sort of taking advantage of Kaiser's model of play? How do you see this?
In defense of Sporting and in defense of big teams in general, I think Steph was right when he mentioned that the Portuguese league, it's no joke essentially. And little teams, when they come to you and if they manage to get an inch from your side of the plate, that they'll hold on to it and they'll bring everything from dark arts to frustrating mind games, but they really do battle for everything, for every single point and tackle essentially. So it can be very, very difficult for a top team to turn stuff around. Sometimes it takes a lot out of these players, and what I would say is, obviously with Sporting, as most big teams do nowadays, they like to play possession-based style of play, and what Kaiser's trying to implement is still very fresh, it's still very new, it hasn't been fine-tuned yet. So I think a lot of the teams that come up against Sporting, they sense that. So from the first minute, they're very compact, but they're also, it's when they're full of energy, so they're looking to lure Sporting into pressing traps. And obviously Sporting being a big club, like others, sometimes they have the tendency, the mentality to think, okay, we're superior, we'll just knock the ball about and grow into this game. Sometimes that doesn't happen. I think we saw just the other day, Benfica against Rio Ave, and Benfica found themselves 2-0 down. I think that's a trend that happens a lot throughout the big clubs from time to time. And it can be so dangerous, because once one of these small teams, do find themselves 1-0 up or 2-0 up, they're shutting everything down from then on. And with the amount of fouls that we see in the Portuguese league, the amount of time wasting, the referees are they struggle to handle the game sometimes. It can be a very frustrating experience and something that's difficult to overcome. So with that in mind, I do feel a little bit of sympathy for Kaiser essentially and other managers that find themselves in that sort of position. You just have to be very cold-blooded in times like that, and sometimes we have been, and so have other clubs. But particularly last night, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that game soon. I don't think we kept our composure at all, and the end result was that we lost, and that's the price to pay essentially. But I think it is very difficult sometimes to come up against these smaller teams. A point or three means absolutely everything to them against the Porto, Benfica, Braga, what have you.
Yeah, great point. And sorry, Steph, I cut you off a bit earlier. Sorry about that. I just have one more question before we move on to the Tondela match. What did you make of our makeshift midfield stuff with Goudelli, Wendell, and Miguel Luis? I think we did well, but how did you think of it?
Well, on paper it looked great, but then the chemistry wasn't there. Let's be real. We were expecting to be a midfield that would dominate, and then Pepa, he prepared the team well, and I tend to agree with João Castro, which I think the podcast is live now too.
Yeah,
I think we're doing it at the same time. But
the people listening to us can after listen to the Portuguese version. The Portuguese people can after listen to us. So it's all good.
It's all good. You can tune in to both at the same time if you want.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but João Castro said it all, and like when we were chit-chatting on WhatsApp, he said that our squad list. Why do we have to reveal the squad list in advance, and kind of saw what kind of forwards we had. We had Montero, Rafinha, and he saw the whole lineup. And we played with Montero, um avançado fixo, and he prepared the team towards the squad list that we had. So he had notice in advance. So Tondela, the pitch is smaller as well. It's tough to play at Tondela. It's a smaller field. It's a tough team. They need points, and it's against Sporting. So the team that was in second place, now we in fourth place, and they gave it all, and they won because their coach better than our coach. If to play the guys away, which I like it, I don't dislike it. The midfield has to have fresh legs all the time, and they need to be much faster and not make those grotesque mistakes when they pass the ball. When you make those grotesque mistakes, what happens? It's the counterattack. And Tondela got us on the counterattack all the time. Utomane, you could have scored more goals if you wanted to. You missed quite a few. I remember one on the crossbar. It's the risk of playing this kind of tactic. I think I hate to say it, I don't know if you guys will agree with me, but I'll say it. Our center backs, they're too slow for this kind of tactic. That's why I think they're looking for younger center backs and faster, because I saw Coates and Mathieu struggling to keep up on the counterattacks. It's like they're carrying a piano on their backs. And that's the risk of Kaiser's philosophy, which I like it, but I don't think we have a good enough team to be consistent game after game to play the way he wants it, because he wants control of the ball from the goalkeeper onto the midfield up to the last quarter of the pitch, which I like it. But you need to have a squad for that. And I don't think we have a deep squad for that, because our midfield, they made too many mistakes, and Pepa wasn't stupid. he told their players, in 2 touches you can be in the last quarter of Sporting pitch and score, and that's basically what happened. Our midfield was slow, was predictable, was not fast enough, and we suffered the consequences. So the remedy for this is you gotta find the proper midfielders that play much faster, the high tempo all the time, and if he wants to play the way he's playing, otherwise we'll suffer a lot, like we did, and we play one great game and then the next game we play like shit. Why? Because our midfield is exhausted. They don't have the focus they had against Bulnes, for example. Even though we got a little bit lucky at the beginning against Bulnes, but at least we scored 2 goals and we could have scored more, and we missed a lot of goals. And with that said, and the center backs, our center backs, I hate to say it, but I really think that Coates and Mathieu with this kind of tactic, they don't fit in at all. I hate to say it, but they don't fit in. They're too slow. This is my way of seeing things. As Portuguese from Delaware, I'm not a professional. I'm not expert in the matter.
Yeah, we're fans.
Yeah, we fans. But what I saw was like, wow, what's going on? I saw Coates taking off, and the guy was already gone. And that's why I think we're shopping for center backs younger and faster to fit into the Kaiser's tactic. But let's be real. I mean, Mathieu and Coates, the great center backs, but they 30-something each one.
Coates is, I think, in his late 20s, and Mathieu, I think, is 34, maybe 35 by the end of the year.
Yeah. Ironically, I think Mathieu is a lot faster than Coates, though. So.
Yeah, I think so too.
I know. Ironically, yeah, you're right. But I don't know if you guys saw the same thing. Did you guys see the same thing?
I think stylistically, I think Coates and Mathieu are both very capable on the ball. So in terms of distribution, they're quite good. And I think what we saw with Peseiro even at times was the fact that we don't have that defensive midfielder who can construct. We saw Peseiro rely a lot more on the centre backs to do that sort of job. So in terms of passing the ball, I think they're 2 very capable centre backs. But yes, I think especially with Coates, you are correct. He is very slow. So he is a weakness if you want to press high up the pitch like Kaiser would like to. And B, he's also way out of form. I think across the back line, he's really struggled so far this season. He's not the same Coates that we saw last year, and in particularly when he first arrived at Sporting under Jesus. So I think that's a problem. Even the defence as a whole, I don't think it's quite settled into Kaiser's plans. There's still a lot of work that needs to be put into that, but that's normal, of course. Kaiser's just arrived. If we look at what Guardiola did when he first arrived, his defence was a bit of a mess for the first season. Only in the second and third season, which he's in right now, is when he eventually perfected that whole thing. I do think the defensive midfielder role is a problem as well. We've got Gudeli there, who he claims to be a box-to-box midfielder. So, in terms of creativity and getting the ball to move about quicker from the back line, I don't think he's quite capable of doing that. And then the other side of his game defensively, I think he's offering very little protection for the likes of Coates and Mathieu anyway. So it's a lot easier for teams like Tondela on the counter-attack to pick holes and exploit the spaces. So, there's a few problems just outside of the 2 centre-backs themselves that I think, in my opinion, are causing Sporting some problems in the defensive sector.
Yeah, I actually 100% agree with you. On the ball, they're very capable, but like you were saying, dealing with the counterattack, at least lately, because when it first started off, it might be the form, very well maybe Coates off form, Mathieu sort of off form as well. And our fullbacks, to me, I don't think they help out enough defensively.
Remember one thing. Was it you that said it? I don't know if it was you or Patrick. We don't have a clean sheet yet under Kaiser.
We have one.
Yeah.
It was in
only
Europa League. I think.
Okay. But not in the Portuguese league.
No, not against the Portuguese team.
Exactly. So there's the indicator that our defense is struggling. It's not normal for a big club like Sporting to always suffer goals in the Portuguese league. It's not normal. The indicator is right there. It's been telling us we suck defensively. We suck defensively. We suck defensively, and we do. Our defense sucks. I hate to say it, I love Coates. I love Mathieu, but I don't. The lack of consistency, game after game after game. As much as Diaby, because it's easy, of less status. Let's Sportingistas, we love to find an scapegoat. So this weekend was Diaby. That's it. Even though everybody thought that Mathieu and Coates struggled. But let's not pick on our favorites. Let's pick on Diaby. It's just the way it is. But I call it the way it is. Mathieu and Coates, they to blame. Don't give me any other shit. They are to blame. Okay, the midfield too, of course, because they're the ones who lost the ball and they went into counterattack and then go back. But, it is what it is. And it's been indicating us that our defense sucks. And then who can change that? Only Kaiser. That's all. But I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I would bet on Kaiser. Okay, let's say the season is done. And we're just fighting for the second place. It's still too soon to say that, but 8 points, it's a big distance. Okay?
Yeah.
But let's say we say, oh, this season is done. I would bet on Kaiser, and I would let him mold the team to his liking. Because don't forget, this is not his team. He picked up somebody else's team. So now we need to give him time. I like Kaiser. He's not at fault. Some people say he doesn't respect Portuguese coaches. No, that's bullshit. This guy's been nothing but humble
respectful
and respectful. Yeah. So it has nothing to do with that. He sticks with this philosophy, and that's not a problem. It's a style of game, and I like his style of game, but he's not equipped. The squad list that he has, even though he says he's got good players, of course he has to say that on camera. But the reality is that if his style of play, we don't have a deep enough squad list. That's all.
Yeah, and let's get right into that game since we've been talking a bit about it. I'll quickly go through the lineup, and then I'll ask Patrick what he thought of the game as a whole. Anyways, we had Renan in net, Bruno Gaspar, Coates, Mathieu, and Acuna. Then we had Wendell, Goudelli, and Bruno Fernandes, and then Rafinha, Diaby, and Nani, with André Pinto and Freddie Montero subbing in. Patrick, quick thoughts, man.
Yeah, so it was essentially a disaster really coming into the game, and we conceded very early. Sometimes when you're a small team, you can have that sense that you score a little bit too early. And I was waiting for that reaction from Sporting to wake up essentially and make Tondela pay a lot sooner for the goal, but it never came. And I think part of that. Again, touching upon the role that Goudelli plays in that defensive midfield role, I don't think he served the foundations for how we wanted to play that game. And he wasn't alone. The likes of Bruno Fernandes were very, they didn't really get into the game. Nani, the same from the flanks, and it was just a struggle. We weren't combining as well as we're accustomed to seeing under Kaiser, and which became quite a worry, because what I saw the team do was almost regressing back to the old ways, where we get the ball and we start crossing, and we weren't really thinking about what we were doing. I think there was a point in the first half towards the 20-something minute where Cunha just crossed it in, and literally nobody was in the box. Like, I think it was just the goalkeeper, Claudio Ramos or something, that was there. And it just shows like we threw away all our ideas. We lost that composure that we did have against Portuguese in another top game where we saw the combinations in and around the box despite having our difficulties. Against Tondela, there was none of that. And as I said, when you lose your composure tactically and you begin to sway away from your core instructions, that's when trouble comes. And every time we try to, Tondela were tactically smart, some may say, others may say dirty, and they'd put the boot in, they'd get the fouls totted up. They even ended up going a man down for it. But sporting mentally, I think that we always looked affected. We never were able to capitalise on the fact that they went down to 10 men. Tondela remained very tight as I expected they would. That's just the type of side they are. And hoping for a bit of magic on the counter-attack from the likes of Xavier and Dominic, which in the end they got. They scored the second and pretty much killed us off. So it was very frustrating to watch. It's something that Kaiser will have in mind to ensure that its team, in moments of panic, they don't just suddenly start crossing the ball brainlessly, and they keep their composure. They start knocking the ball about a bit more. That's a worry that I have for this sporting team should things go wrong, because the ideas that Kaiser is trying to implement are still very fresh. So it's very easy for, I think, in my opinion, for the players to switch off. I just hope that the technical staff, and I'm sure they will be, I just hope that they're looking into that sort of stuff to make sure things are kept, the thought process is a little bit more cooler in the future, and hopefully we won't see many more results and performances like we did last night.
Yeah, I agree with you in a lot of things you said actually, and it you can see it that maybe it is old mentalities coming through, because these quick passes, these passing between the lines, I don't see it as much or as done as well as when we first started doing it in the beginning of the season, and we were shutting teams out. I don't think maybe not that I think it was a fluke, but maybe in the beginning of that Kaiser era, the players were more excited, and now teams have figured us out a bit more. And like Tondela, maybe these players have a bit more of trouble breaking down teams that really do sit deep and that can counterattack really fast and really well. And then quickly to Steph's point, because and though I agree Diaby didn't have the best of games, I don't think we can blame this loss simply on Diaby. There's so many pieces at fault that I think, honestly, the only player that we can't fault is Renan Ribeiro, our goalkeeper, because he saved it from being a few more than just 2-1, and then he's not at fault. The first goal, Bruno Gaspar doesn't close down the first. He sort of flinches, lets the guy go by him, and then Gudeli's there standing rather than trying to pressure the guy on the ball. I don't know if it's Tomine or not, but instead of closing him down and stopping the ball from going in, he just leaves it be, and then Acuna lets his guy go through. And if it wasn't the guy that Acuna was covering, it was the one before that Coates and Mathieu just let through. And then for the second goal, it was the same thing. Mathieu and Coates sort of turned off and didn't expect the ball to go through, or weren't focused enough to see the ball go through. Tomine, as Steph said, and as both of you said, more pace than Coates and Mathieu, and we were sitting really high. And then you give him enough time, and he can score a spectacular goal like that. Gudeli, I know he came off in the first at the second half, but deservingly, in terms defensively, he did nothing for us. He got megged. I think he got nutmegged like 2-3 times in the span of like 2-3 minutes. In terms of moving the ball, he wasn't moving the ball well. I think we were moving the ball a lot well with just Wendell and Bruno Fernandes than with all three of them in. And then, yes, of course, Diaby. Nani was off as well, though, but Diaby missed many chances. But at least credit to him for getting maybe in those positions, in particularly the header that he hit too hard on the ground and then hit the bar. But he has to be better, or else he's basically another Doumbia. And in the summer we got rid of Doumbia because he was not taking his chances. And I hope Diaby can't do the same, or else we have to get rid of him as well. But it's not just a single. I can't be just like Steph was saying. It's not a scapegoat on Diaby, because it's not a single man that brings us the performance that we had yesterday. It was the whole squad, and then the desperation acts. I hope I don't see it again either. I get it with Kawach going in there because of the lack of strikers we had on the bench. So we put the big bodies in the box and just pray for the best. But we're better than that, and I think Kaiser's ideas are much better than just playing Stoke football sort of tactics. And of course, we also were a bit unlucky on that one chance that Monteiro had, that the ball luckily had a backspin and went right back to Claudio Ramos. But anyways, I'm done with my ramble. Steph, what about you, man? I know we spoke a lot about the game, but what are your 2 cents on the Tondela game?
Well, luckily, actually, I was working yesterday, so I saw bits and pieces of the game, and then when I got home, I saw the long version of it. But it's always easier to when you're working and you follow the game on your cell phone, just following the score, and then you're not watching the game. It's easier when you get defeated because you're not, standing watching and not like every second of it, and you tell yourself, not having those reactions. So I was pissed. I had to walk it off and told my coworkers, "Hey, give me 30 minutes, I'll be back."
I'm going on an early break.
Yeah, it was tough, but then when I got home, I did watch the game, and again, we started slow. We gave them the initial 15 minutes. At minute 6, Tondela was already winning, and it just makes things much more difficult when you play against a small team at home in a smaller pitch. Then you know what they're going to do. They're going to drop the lines. That was their mentality from the get-go. It was to play, give the initiative to Sporting. I think in possession we had 68% or 70%, but it doesn't.
72% to their 27.
Exactly.
Sorry, 73.
It doesn't mean shit. Have possession of the ball if you lose. That's the conclusion. Having the ball for 73% of the time of the full game, it doesn't mean jack shit. It doesn't give you points. It doesn't give you anything. Therefore, Tondela knew that, and Tondela playing at home, they were not embarrassed to drop the lines and park the bus. That's what they did. They parked the bus. In Portugal, the smaller teams don't give a shit about football spectacular. They don't care. They just want the 3 points or 1 point against the big teams. Tondela the next weekend will play against Feirense, and they will play differently. They will play differently. And then they most likely will lose against Feirense at home or away, because they play in a different tactic. They play to win because it's uma equipa do campeonato deles. So with that said, we already know how they're going to play against us. We know. So why we're not prepared physically? Because it didn't seem like we were prepared physically and mentally. It beats the shit out of me. I don't get it. And it's not Kaz's fault, because if you look at the bench, you have enough Portuguese ex-players that know how the league is, and they should have briefed they should have briefed Kaiser about it. And I'm pretty sure they did. I'm pretty sure everyone at Sporting briefed Kaiser how the Portuguese league is.
And it's not only just the ex-players, but it's the ex-coaching staff. Nelson Pereira. We have Varandas, who's been a part of the footballing world for the last 11, 13 years. So many people. Anyway, sorry, continue, Steph.
Beto Severino.
Beto and Hugo Viana.
The manager to let them know, and I'm pretty sure that's what they did. Days. Listen, the Portuguese league is tough, especially away, this and that. That's not an excuse que não conhece o campeonato português, que não conhece os treinadores portugueses são assim estúpidas que não, isso não cola. It's the players. O José Mourinho, com o Conte, you could have o Guardiola. Mentally and physically, they're not ready to play certain games. They will lose. They will lose. We play a great game, and then the second game against Tondela away, all the games away. Now it's going to be like this, like suffering all the time. It's depressing, really. It's depressing. Like Kevin was saying on Twitter, he's 16 years old. He's never seen Sporting campeão. And you know what? And then we have our rivals, Benfiquistas and Portistas. They make fun of us, but that's the truth. Our team, they can handle the pressure. We play like we were champions last year. No, we were not. We should be playing every game, fucking eating the turf. Every game, giving it all. But it's not the case. Tondela wanted more the game. They were more prepared, and they beat us to the punch. On the 50-50 balls, they almost got us all the time. We had the ball for 73%. But all it takes is one mistake at the midfield, which happened quite a few times, and in the counterattack, bang, they got us. I mean, we talking about Tondela, meu. Não é o Benfica, o Porto ou o Braga. É o Tondela. Again, it's embarrassing to lose against Tondela. And now don't give me the shit. Oh, Tondela é uma equipa boa, jogar lá fora. Bom, eles em casa jogam bem. Same thing with Portimonense. I heard the same bullshit. O Guimarães saying, so next week we play against who? Against Porto, am I right? At home?
At home, yeah.
So now we have to win that game, because if we don't, what happens?
11 points.
11 points, exactly. So it's a must-win game. But if we tie, we're still going to be the same fucking mentality. Nunca sabe, eles vão escorregar. Eles vão escorregar, e talvez seja verdade. But it means that we have to be perfect. For Porto to lose points, it means we can lose points. Am I correct about that? Are we not going to lose points? Yeah, there it is. It's a question of mentality at Sporting. It's going to be, I believe, 17 years with the 17 or 18. I think it might be 18 years, counting this year, that we haven't been champions of Portugal. 18 years. 18. I'm 46. I've seen Sporting campeão maybe 2-3 times in my lifetime. I mean, it's a question of mentality. Don't tell me it's Kaiser. Don't tell me que é o Varandas, because under Bruno Carvalho we didn't win either. So
yeah,
scratch that off your list. Don't say Bruno Carvalho, say mais quente, because we didn't win shit with him too.
Yeah, so the thing that I hate about that is like, and I'm sort of both sides too. Like I get the Bruno Carvalho side, but I also get the Varandas side. It's whenever we lose, Bruno Carvalho, meu presidente. Varandas, your shit. But whenever we win, when we get Kaiser, no, we're not going to give them credit. Or Varandas fans will be like, oh, where's Bruno Carvalho? Like, I think like Steph's been saying for weeks now, maybe months. Not maybe, for sure, months. We just got to get past it. It is what it is. Varandas is now our president. We have to support him. Bruno Carvalho is now in the past. Anyway, sorry, I just wanted to put that in since you said that. Sorry, Steph, continue.
No. Basically, I'm done. So we stunk. We didn't play well. The 73% possession, it's actually a misleading statistic. In football, it doesn't mean shit. Yeah. What means is the goals in the net. We scored one. They scored two. Utomane could have scored another one. We missed, like you said, Acuna and the Diaby no post. We could have tied the game at least. But the thing is, we didn't create enough chances of goal to at least start the game or win the game, and it was equal with Tondela. And Tondela got the best of us. They dominated in the midfield as far as containing us, and they had fast players. The instructions were simple: ganhas a bola, passas lá para frente.
Yeah,
é contra-ataque, and it worked perfectly for Tondela. Because they created so many fucking headaches to our defense. Our defense was all over the place. And it shows that our defense is not prepared for this kind of tactic. They were not prepared for this kind of tactic. I could see that next year, if Kaiser stays, and I hope he does stay, our team will be deeply remodeled. It will be. Because the players we have now, they don't fit in his tactic, in his philosophy. And again, we lost. To me, I hate to say to be pessimista, we out of the race. I don't see Football Club Porto. They just got Pep, another great center back. So I don't see Football Club Porto they dropping 8 points anytime soon. Even if they drop some points, for sure we will drop more points because we're not consistent at all. And then we don't have teams like Sporting B in our league, like o Braga B, Benfica. We don't have teams like that. No one will help us. So basically, that's it. We doomed. Let's focus on the Taça de Portugal e Taça da Liga. E talvez a gente faça uma gracinha na Taça da Europa. Because the Portuguese league, to me, we done. Let's fight.
I think we still have to focus on second at least.
Second
place.
Second place. Yeah. Mas o Porto, they're too confident. They playing well.
Fortes. We have to admit they're a very strong side. And then adding Pep on top of that, if their defense was hard enough or hard to score against as it is now with Eder Militão and Felipe, imagine Eder Militão, Felipe, Pep, and Teles with Danilo just above that, with Casillas in net. That Porto, I'm not gonna lie, Porto's a joke right now. They're a joke.
Hey, Porto won last week, 1-0 away. Am I correct?
Against Aves, yeah.
Okay. Arrisquinha, não foi?
Pois. Yeah.
Mas ganhou. Mas they won.
That's the thing. They pulled through on those games.
There it is.
If that was Sporting, we would have tied it.
There's the difference. The difference is o Porto joga com raça. Joga a norte, ao pessoal do norte. O pessoal do norte sempre foi assim, mais com raça. Eu sou do norte, that's why I say this. But, Porto wins, finds a way to win. We don't. We find a way to lose, and then we complain to the referees. I mean, come on. Yesterday has nothing to do with the Verissimo nem o cara que for. We lost because we sucked, that's all. Vá, para frente.
Yeah, man, and anyways, Patrick, going to talk a bit more transfers here. If you are the director of football, if I tell you right now you're director of football, what players, what positions are we looking at? And even on some of the rumors like Eustáquio, Adrian, this left back from Toluca, what are your thoughts on some of the rumors that you've heard so far?
Well, the left back from the Mexican League is not it's not a name I'm familiar with. It's not a player I know too much of, but it's certainly I think an area that Sporting need to look at, because obviously Acuna is a valid option at left back. We know how good he is on the ball particularly, and but defensively he's still got a few things to figure out, and he will figure that out as the year goes on. But it'd be nice to have that option behind him to compete with him. We all know what Jefferson's like. I think we all don't really fancy him at a club like Sporting to do the job. So especially with a guy like Acuna who tends to be quite sparky, and he may have a suspension here or there, we need someone who could really shadow him and compete for that left back slot. So the left back slot is certainly something we need to look at. I think the right is the same. I'm not really a fan of Bruno Gaspar. I do like Ristovski a little bit better, but even then, I think Ristovski is a little short of what we need on the right side in terms of shoring up our defence and offering a threat going forwards as well. We could obviously look at another centre back as Steph pointed out, but I do think a new defensive midfielder who's capable of distributing the ball a lot cleaner and more readily than Gudeli does, but also in turn able to position himself a lot better in terms of protecting the defence and having more of a presence in the middle of the park. I think that is the number one priority for Sporting at the moment. We definitely need a defensive midfielder who can construct play and position himself in ways that Sporting aren't so susceptible to counterattacks. I think if we had someone like that, not only will we be perhaps starting games a lot quicker and seeing our construction, our levels of creativity go up, but I also think we'd be a more solid outfit and prepared for such threats such as counterattacks. So for me, defensive midfielder, if I had to choose just one transfer, I'm not sure about any names in particular, but if I had to choose one target, it'd be that defensive midfielder for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're really lacking in that area. Steph, I'll do the same question to you before I put in my 2 cents. In the transfer market, what do you think we need to be looking after? Like Patrick said, a left back and a defensive midfielder for sure. Do you have any other positions you think you might need filling, or do you think that should be the main focus?
I mean, a couple years ago we had and I'm not kidding about this. I know you guys will probably laugh about this, but we had a psychologist. Remember a Brazilian psychologist?
It's not coming to mind at the moment.
No, okay. I forget his name, but we had a psychologist that used to talk to players, like on a daily basis and all that stuff. And the team was actually doing pretty well. So maybe we need, a psychologist. Seriously, I'm not kidding. I know it's just week but
yeah.
To me, Sporting, the players they get over there, they won the first few games. It's like, wow, this player is good. God damn, look at this player. He just came to Sporting and he's great. And then, bang, it's like they get this virus and they get contagious with like the flu or something.
Right.
So they have a mental block. And then they have poor performances, and that's what's going. We don't have a bad squad, but we tremendously not consistent. We behave like o meio da tabela team. O Tondela ganha contra o Sporting, uma festa do caralho. É o feriado nacional, né? And next weekend they might lose com o Caga na Saca. It's almost guaranteed they will lose against some other fucking horrible team, and we just lost against Tondela. Sporting, it's a lack of attitude, and I don't know who's to blame for it. I don't know if it's they too comfortable throughout the week when they practice, or they just too nice to them. Don't worry about it. You played well. We'll do better next time. Levanta a cabeça. I think there's a lack of aggressiveness, a lack of, epá, que merda foi aquela, I don't know, because athletes nowadays, if you talk to them in a harsh way, all of a sudden, they don't want to play. You see that in the NFL, the NBA, in baseball, all major sports, you see that. And it's soccer or football, it's not an exception. But definitely, to me, I think we should look into the left back position. I don't know what Lumor is not playing or given a chance. Maybe because he was hired by Bruno Carvalho, like Vivienne. I have no clue. If that's the case, é uma vergonha do caralho. They should give the guy a chance because the first few the games he played pretty well. I don't know how you guys, feel about Lumor, but I saw him play a few games for Sporting at the beginning, and he wasn't that bad.
I like Lumor, I'm not going to lie. In the preseason, at least, I was very impressed with Lumor. Very impressed.
I don't know why they're not giving the man a chance. And then it forces us fans to say, epá, o Acunha não tem ninguém à altura. Because o Lumor não está a jogar, não dá uma chance ao rapaz. We have to see him play to judge him. So far, we only saw a few minutes against this team and this team, 25 minutes here, 25 minutes there. And to me, he gave us good indications. But for some reason, they're not playing him. So if you're not playing him, sell him. Let the guy go. And then, we need another left back. Jefferson is done. Let him go back to Brazil, to whatever. We need also a center back. Our center backs, they need someone more competitive because they've been an embarrassment. And I'm going to include both of them, Coates and Mathieu. They've been pretty bad, seriously speaking. Há que chamar como as verdades. You have to admit it. The right back position is actually the position I feel more comfortable with, but we lost the height because Piccini was taller than Ritowski and Gaspar. Yeah. And then in the midfield, I think we have good quality. I mean, I think we have enough in the midfield. It's just Kaiser needs to come up with a good rotation and have his tactic demands fresh legs all the time. He wants them to play fast and have possession of the ball. That's great, which requires players to be fresh. So then have a good rotation going on. If he doesn't have a good rotation, he's always playing the same players. Like you saw Belenenses game and Tondela game. He played with com Luís Miguel e com qual é o gajo? O Golchek, né? And they were both tired, and you could see it. So, and a forward, we just got one, Luis Felipe. So he seems to be good. I don't know. We'll see. Wingers, we have enough, but I would certainly welcome o Matheus Pereira de volta.
Yeah.
If you could come back, that would be great. And o Jason Dahl, I don't think we can get him back.
Not this season, at least.
No.
It's the same with Gelson Dalla, Ivanildo Fernandes, John Moreirense. And who else do we have? It's basically if we can't bring back loaned out players in Portugal, basically.
Yeah, unless the club that we loaned them to, they fuck up with the contract. They don't pay.
Yeah, like a la Rafael Barbosa. If the president hits the player, we can get him back, basically.
And the striker maybe. But so, and that's it. I mean, that's all.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. And quickly, just to give my 2 cents in, I think we definitely need a left back. We definitely need a defensive midfielder because as much as I liked Goudelli in the beginning and he sort of irritating me now, it's clear to see defensively he's just not there. And something that Patrick's been saying it as well, I've been saying it for maybe this whole season, is you see the hole that William leaves ever since his departure, because William was the type of midfielder that not only can win the ball back, but can push the play forward. He was, in a sense, he was like a quarterback to us last year. And maybe not we don't need to get a carbon copy of William, but we need somebody to win the ball back quickly, especially if, that 5-second rule hasn't really been working out for us that well. We don't win second balls that much, especially against aggressive teams like Tondela last night. I think we definitely need defensive midfielder. If we get a proper left back in, we can push Acuna up to the wings. Though I would also welcome Matheus Pereira back as well. I think the biggest thing, and I know we got a striker. The verdict's still out. He has yet to play a game, so I'll give him time to adapt to the team before I start spewing out any opinions. But I think if we're serious about winning the league, if you look at the recent trend of I guess Porto and Benfica, who've won the league, it's strikers. Porto have at least 5 good strikers on their squad. Last season, this season, Abubakar's out, they have Marega. Marega's out, they have Suarez. Suarez is out, they'll use the kid André Pereira. And even before André Pereira, there's a name that I'm missing out on. Benfica, when they won the league, they had Jonas, Mitroglou, Jimenez. I think Sporting, and last time when Sporting were close to winning the league, we had Tanaka, we had Slimani, we had Montero, Gutierrez. And we only lost the league because we sold Montero for Barcos, who clearly wasn't good enough. I think if for Portuguese teams to seriously compete and seriously make a challenge run, and something I think we desperately need here at Sporting, it's not even to play a 4-4-2. We can keep this 4-4-3, but we need at least 2 or 3 goal-scoring strikers. We can't just rely on Bas Dost. We can't rely so heavily on Bruno Fernandes to get us so many goals because, yesterday I would see it a lot too, and it would frustrate the hell out of me, was he would pick up the ball from midfield. There would be 5 people in front of him, and he'd go for the shot from 30 yards out rather than passing it because, one, he wants to get a shot on target, at least to test the keeper. But 2, I don't know, maybe he's looking for the deflection or something. It's that responsibility, I guess, on his shoulders that has him shooting it when 5 people are in front of him rather than, passing it out wide or whatever. I think Sporting is in desperate need of more options off the bench. And as much as I like Montero, yesterday wasn't a game for Montero. Maybe if he had started, but I don't know, when he came in, it wasn't really a game for him. If the rumors of Slimani coming true, if rumors of Slimani are true, that would be great for us because, of course, I think all 3 of us have said it over the last, season and a half. Sporting need another target man. We can't just rely on Bas Dost because once Bas Dost is out, we can't cross it. We seen under Pizzeto when Bas Dost was injured in the beginning. We weren't crossing the ball too much. We were playing it short. We were having Montero sort of as a false 9. So I think, of course, on top of the left back, on top of the defensive midfielder, and maybe possibly a winger, whether that's, moving Acuna up or bringing back Matheus Pereira, we need I'll say another striker because I'm going to be hopeful for Luis Felipe, but we need at least 3 good strikers that can score us goals. Of course, we can keep Bas Dost, but we need another 2 that can not guarantee us goals, but that'll be a threat going forward. Because if you, like I said, look at Porto. If Porto don't have a Boubacar, it's okay. They have Marega and Suarez to score. If Benfica in the past, if they didn't, even now, Benfica don't have Jonas, they have Seferovic, they have the kid, João Felix. They bought the Mexican guy who is actually pretty good in Mexico. I forget his name right now. They have Ferreira from Shakhtar, who, fair enough, both of them aren't working out, but they were goal scorers. Ferreira in Ukraine, he was top goal scorer by so much. So I'm not here to big up the rivals, but credit to them. I think they found the formula that Sporting just hasn't opened their eyes to. That one striker is never enough, and yeah, that's the positions I think we need filling in. Before we get on to the preview of Porto, Steph, just a quick question. And Patrick as well. Raul Jose and Miguel Quaresma are coming in from the backroom staff. What's your quick opinion on that?
My opinion basically is they're full of experience. They know the market quite well. Not only the Portuguese league, but these guys, they've been in football world for quite a long time. So they will be a good addition to the scouting team. Quaresma, I believe, is going to be more involved in the academy. So they know stuff that they can look at things, vision it before they happen. They could see things a mile away. So I like the experience that we're bringing into our academy, into our scouting department. I think it's a plus. Let's put aside onde eles vieram. To me, that's irrelevant. As long as you a professional and you can bring good ideas and you can make my Sporting win, then you're a good addition to my Sporting. So I think it's a positive thing.
Sorry, agreed. And how about you, Patrick?
Well, for one, I'm actually quite surprised that Raul Jose and Miguel Quaresma actually parted ways as we used to do, and to come back to Sporting. I would have thought there were two characters that would stay quite loyal to Jesus throughout the rest of his career. I don't know, maybe Raul Jose or Quaresma probably got tired of all the screaming and shouting that Jesus delivers out on the touchlines or something like that. But I don't know. I think from what I understand, Raul Jose is coming in to be some sort of technical director between the youth setup and the first team, correct? And players out on loans, something like that. I think that's probably. I'm not sure because obviously we've already got a sort of team manager in bed and Viana's director of football, and to me, it just seems like three roles. Well, essentially, it should be something that should be one role, and it's sort of been split three ways.
But Ubet is just focusing on traveling with the team and staying with the A squad at all times. That's all he does, Ubet. That's his main role.
He's he's sort of a buffer between like management and the players, basically.
I think to me, I think a team like Sporting has to look at itself. So obviously, it's nice to have a character like Bertie in the team, and he's obviously someone with lots of experience that can delve in the difficult moments that players may have. But I think sometimes you have to see, especially a team like Sporting that need money. We have to be very careful with the money that we do spend, and I don't think.
Yeah. I agree.
Actually, going to come.
Yeah. Actually, I agree with you because I never, and it's a good thing you brought this up. I'll just put my 2 cents really fast. I didn't mean to cut you off, but if I don't say it now, I'll kind of forget it. But I never seen a clubs in Portugal with so many vice presidents, diretores, dirigentes. I mean, only cow. Of course, the club is not doing well financially. It's like a political party. They should cut down on giving away so many goddamn jobs.
Yeah,
I mean,
at this point, I don't know what Rogério Alves does and all the others, man. To be honest. Anyways, sorry.
I can't keep up with it. I can't keep up with all the a gente é presidente, vice-presidente, não sei o quê, outro vice-presidente, não sei o quê, outro vice-presidente, não sei o quê, outro Foda-se. Tanta gente a comer do Sporting. That's why we're in trouble financially, and I agree with Patrick. It's too many jobs and there's more chiefs than Indians.
Exactly.
Aquilo é pior que um filme de cowboys. Foda-se.
I think the important thing is that the chief here is the main chief here, supposedly Varandas. The important thing is that he gets everyone on the same page, and Sporting starts working like someone that, like an Ajax or a Barcelona. Everyone has the same mentality, and everyone starts working towards the same goal. But it has to mirror the ambitions of the manager. So to me, I just hope that whatever is going through the mind of José or Viana or Beto or Miguel Quaresma, whoever, the work that they put in, whether it's good or bad, it has to mirror what, in my opinion, the manager thinks for the team. So that the manager, who's the one who gets all the criticism and half the plaudits when things go right, everything has to mirror what he's thinking, and so that he can essentially get the best out of the team, short term and long term. I just hope that whoever comes in, we can piece this together in one picture. If not, I think it'll be a bit of a mess. And there's plenty of messes about. Lots of clubs with a conflict of interest and different ways of thinking produce mixed results in other places. So we have to be very careful with the people we bring in and ensure that we're all steering towards the same. We're all going the same way.
Okay, agreed, man. All right, you hit the nail on the head with that one, actually. Anyways, okay, we're gonna go on to Twitter questions. Then we'll do some modalidades before the big preview at home against Portugal on Saturday. So Steph, I'll give this one to you. It's from John O'Lion, Lonely Lion on Twitter. He asks what kind of players we need to bring, and should we have more young players in the main squad? Are you worried about latest performances, mainly away games? Thanks. Thank you, John, for your question. So we sort of touched upon on what players I think we need to bring in, but what about the sort of profile of player, whether, in that left back DM spot, do you think we need more experience in an older player? Do you think we need a younger player with more ambition? What are your thoughts on that, Steph?
Well, I agree with John, and John, thanks a lot for listening to us and for following us on Twitter. He's very active on Twitter all the time with us, and I appreciate it very much. Sometimes we have some great conversations via Twitter. I agree with John. We struggling big time when we play away. And again, it's a poor preparation mentally of the players. Because how can you get into a game from the get-go and não entrar com garra? I don't get that. You have to go and give it all from minute one. And we spoke about that already, that we give away 15 minutes all the time from the get-go. The solution would be give Kaiser what he wants. Let Kaiser pick the team in conjunction with the scouting department, of course. But, it's too late in the game now. I mean, all we can do is maybe get another forward, like we spoke about, left back, a center back, midfield. I think we find we have a lot of youth and also experience. So I don't think the problem is the midfield. It's just he needs to come up with a good rotation, and he can't be playing the same players all the time, because this is what happens when he plays the same players in the midfield all the time. They get exhausted, and we need fresh legs. That's it.
Yeah, fair enough. And sorry, I just went away from this question. Patrick, next question comes in from Ze. That's Ze Pereira at Pereira4785 on Twitter. He asks, what's been the common reason for Sporting's 2 losses under Kaiser? Both were on the road without being able to watch yesterday's match. Sounds like teams are clogging the middle, dropping everyone back, and scoring their first goal. What are your thoughts on that? Do you agree with that, Patrick? And what's the common reason under both of our losses?
Yeah, I think that certainly the latter half of his question / point was very present in the game against Tondela. Obviously, against Guimarães away is a very difficult place to go, and a lot of other teams have struggled there. So you can sort of accept a blip here and there whenever we do go there. But against Tondela, it was primarily the fact that we were found out basically on the day. We didn't play anywhere near good enough to crack the code that Tondela put in front of us. And essentially, I think we just got to figure out how to keep our minds and play our own game when things don't go our way. We didn't do that yesterday. I just hope that we don't see many more of those episodes, because we haven't really been challenged in quite the same way as we were versus Tondela. We have had moments where obviously we're playing in front of our home crowd or whatnot, and the momentum is still behind us when we go a goal down, and things are still coming off. Yesterday against Tondela, they were a lot tighter. As Steph mentioned, the pitch is a lot smaller. The conditions itself weren't great. So, it was really a game where Sporting, to come out of that with a win, they had to give it 100% and more and really dig in. And we just never managed to do that and think about how we're playing at the same time. It was just get the ball and cross and hope that Bastos will come out of nowhere when he wasn't even playing. So our mindset just wasn't there at all. So I would attribute that defeat against Tondela to the fact that we just lost our heads. Against Guimarães, you can always say that they are a good team and they've got quality players and what have you. So I think we just need to be a bit more calmer and have a bit more belief when things go wrong in our initial plan.
Yeah. And then the last, it's not really a question, it's just a comment from our boy over all the way in Australia, from at Aussie Tuga. Says, come on, I'm 60. Have to see the podcast after. Sobe nos tripeiros. Yeah, sorry about that, guys, but it's just an excuse to have to listen to 2 Sporting 160s in one day, guys. But thank you to Aussie Tuga, to Jose, all the way over in Australia. Thanks for listening. Thanks for always interacting with us. And yeah, guys, always keep in touch on Twitter. Always message us. Always, any cause or concern, we're always here to talk. And it's a good time on Twitter. Anyways, Steph, do you have a little rundown of the modalidades? I know we had a last-minute winner, futsal, but
Yes, I do. So basically,
thanks.
So you guys know, Sporting, the Journal Sporting is actually doing a phenomenal job in recapping all the results in online in one link. So I won't say all of them because good grief, we do have a lot of this. This is when you realize how big Sporting is, because, for example, the under 15, you guys do know we have a B team and a C team, and of course an A team as well. And then we have Infantis, Sub-12, Sub-14. It's amazing how big Sporting is and how many kids we actually support playing sports. So, you know, it's a good thing, like for clubs like Sporting and the other big clubs as well. But anyway, Iniciates, we won 2-0 against Lusitans away. So Sporting remains in first place, strong as always. Sporting won away against Real. In online, it shows that we lost 4-0, but we actually won 4-0. So it's a mistake by Sporting PT. Benfica won against Sporting in Junior 5-2. And I don't know. I mean, I was having this friendly discussion with this one of our followers on Twitter. I'm forgetting his name now. Now I think it's Luis. And Jose Lima used to be the coach for the under 23. When the under 23 was playing pretty bad, and now they gave him the junior team. They fired Venezia, and now the junior team is still playing pretty bad. So I don't know. Maybe we need another coach because Zelim is not cutting it. That's my take on it. Then the under 23, we went at Portimonense 3-0 with our new coach, the one we got from Studio. Our team is playing phenomenal. I watched the whole game and it was a beauty. We played well and well deserved. Then Tondela Sporting, of course, we know about that. We spoke about that. Vergonha do caralho. Putas que o pariu, devia descontar no ordenado. They should give us half of the salary. The senior team in ladies, we won 6-0 in Ovarense. That's close to Aveiro. Then in futsal, we had the Iniciados. They won 9-2 against Leões Porto Salvo. Juvenis, they won 5-2 against Leões Porto Salvo. Júniors ganharam 7-1 against Brunhosa. And a Cambalhota against Módicos, we won 3-2. What a difficult game. I watched that game. It was playing on RTP1. And what a game. Wow. The Módicos have a good team. They have João Queiroz. I think he played at Benfica. And the guy is phenomenal. He's a good player. I don't even know how Benfica let him go. He's pretty good.
They're up in third, too. Credit to them, man.
Yeah, they up in third, exactly. Benfica's in first. We're second, 5 points away. It doesn't really matter at this time because we're going to playoffs. Exactly. So it doesn't really matter. But, of course, it's always better to be in first place. Then handball, our A squad didn't play. Joaquim Patins, we won a great victory against Medellín's 14-3, and follow the Ser Leão, which is run by our colleague Rita Pascual on Twitter. They do a phenomenal job, so follow them, please. Volleyball, ladies, they won against CF Lisboa 3-0, and then they played another game against Ala Nuno Alvares Gondomar, and they won 3-1. So they're doing well in the second division. And basically, Polo Aquático, so we lost 9-3. Tennis de Mesa, we won 4-0. At table tennis, we won 4-0 against Benfica. But that's expected because Sporting is the dominating force in table tennis in Portugal. They have the best squad, so that's not a surprise.
Yeah.
In females, we also won 4-0 against the team from Açores, Ponto Pargo. They have a good team. And what else? Let me see. And I think that's it. Let me double check really fast. I'm scrolling down. And then the esports, we won 2-1 against Feirense in esports, which is becoming pretty big, actually. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
This esports community here, there's here on YouTube, on Twitch, it's getting bigger and bigger as the year goes on. And I've seen this. His name is Rasta Artur or something like that, right? Our esports player, like he's all right. I'm a bit of a loser, but I've seen him play against like this YouTube team called #United. Manchester City have an esports team, and he's played them and stuff like that. He's making a bit of a name for himself online. I'm not gonna lie.
No, yes. And shout out to our under-23 team. They have picked up the slack. They're now in second place, just behind Benfica. But I don't know if you guys remember, we started really bad. We were like in 7th, 8th place.
Yeah.
So kudos to our new coach. He put the team playing, even though we lost some key players like Alves Balde, Barbosa. But they're playing phenomenal. If you guys have the chance to see the under-23 play, you should. There's a lot of good kids, como Bruno Paz,
Daniel Bragança.
Yeah. So even the striker from I'm forgetting his name from Moreirense. He came from Moreirense. Agora estou-me a esquecer do nome dele.
Yeah,
he's been playing.
I can't remember either.
Yeah,
Mendes?
But anyway, isso.
Pedro Mendes.
Yeah. The kid he's been playing really well too now, and they playing Kaiser style. I guess they spoke to each other, and now they're playing Kaiser style, and you could see like high pressure, and they create a lot of chances of goal against Portimonense. That was the case, and that's it. That's all I have for Modalidades.
Yeah, thanks, Steph. And just to quickly hit on that under 23 points as well, I watched the 3-0 win against Portimonense. For anybody interested, especially over on that aren't in Portugal and don't have the channels. TVE online usually plays the games, so it's not like you have to search hard and far for a stream. Sure, sometimes they suck, but the stream sucks. But it's when it works, it's a good watch because the kids are actually playing really well. Anyways, to end off the podcast.
Also another way to stream it. It's sometimes o Record or a Bola they stream it.
Oh, true. I didn't know that.
For free, yeah.
All right, sick. All right, last segment. Let's talk about the Clásico over on the weekend, Saturday at 3:30 p.m. over in the UK and Portugal, 10:30 a.m. here in the East Coast. We won't have Acuna after yellow card accumulation. Patrick, quick thoughts and a quick preview of this game, and what do you think the score is going to be?
Yeah, I saw that Acuna suspension coming for weeks now against Porto. Obviously, it had to happen, didn't it? But you never know. Porto don't really. They tend to struggle when it comes to Alvalade in recent years. So they could be in for a surprise. Obviously, they'll be wanting not only to avoid defeat. I think they'll be wanting to win because if they do, they hit 19 consecutive victories, which would be the new record for a Portuguese team. So I think they will be coming to Alvalade looking for 3 points. And obviously we need 3 points as well to make sure that gap between us and the top is cut short back down to 5. So it should be a very interesting game. Kaiser against the big teams in Holland did have a knack of surprising a few. I know he beat PSV 3-0, I think, and then I think when Feyenoord, who were the champions, played his Ajax team, they also lost. Feyenoord lost 5-0 to Kaiser, something like that. So you never know. We could bring a nice surprise on Porto in front of our home crowd. But then again, I think we've still got a few things to figure out yet, and this will be a new test for Kaiser and Sporting playing against a bigger team, the favourites for the title. So if I was to predict a score, I think from this one I would go for a high-scoring draw, so 2-2, I think.
Fair enough. How about you, Steph? Preview and prediction.
Well, I think our team has a point to prove, to especially playing at home, to the home crowd and to all the fans across the world that they are a good squad. So I think we'll win. Actually, I'm not surprised that we will win. And then the following weekend, when we play against Moreirense, then we will lose. So,
typical Sporting.
É assim mesmo, pá. Vamos ganhar ao Porto para dar esperança ao pessoal, ficamos com o papo cheio e depois levamos na peida. So
Moreirense are playing well at the moment.
They are. They're in 5th.
But I know, but it's Moreirense, Patrick. It's Moreirense. If we don't win against Moreirense,
we've got to be careful, don't we?
No, I agree. Of course, every game we got to be careful. We have to play like it's the last game ever, because we haven't been champions for 17 years. Every game we play, we should have to be careful. It's a must. Every single game, Porto game. Why does the focus is more intense against Porto, against Benfica, and less intense against teams like Tondela? It's like Danny said at the beginning, because we think we Sporting, vamos jogar com o Tondela, não é assim muito importante. E depois, olha, pumba. That's why. But so coming back to Porto, I think we will win, and I'll say 3-1, and then the following weekend we lose against Moreirense. That's it.
Yeah, and I'm not as confident as you two. I think we'll maybe scrape a draw, but wouldn't surprise me if we lose. I'm not really confident in a win. I don't know. It's like we've talked about this entire podcast basically. I'm not very confident with the mentality of the players. They seem to enter big occasions. They seem to enter very little. If you know what I mean. Anyways, that's it from here. Any of you two have anything else to add, or we're good?
No, all right.
All right, sick. Thank you guys for joining us on another Sporting160EN podcast. Appreciate those coming in right after the Sporting160 podcast. Thank you for those always interacting with us on Twitter and asking questions. We'll see you sometime next week, hopefully celebrating a Porto win. And if we do win, you'll probably see me super drunk here in the morning. All right, guys. Thank you very much for having us, for listening to us, and yeah, take care, guys. Viva Sporting.
Viva Sporting com Portugal.